welcome to Season 1, Episode 12 of the Blues Jam podcast. This week, I was lucky enough to spend some time with McWee, who runs Diamond Bottlenecks, where he makes the finest glass slides. I was lucky enough to be shown around his workshop and actually get to see him finish off a slide. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, the format's going to be slightly different today. We will start with that footage of him finishing off the slide so you can see some of the process that he goes through, and then we'll go into the interview as per usual. If you're listening to this, then please go and check out YouTube or Instagram, where that footage of him making the slide will be up. As always, stay tuned to the end of the show, where I'll be giving you notice of jams that are coming up over the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
This is these are the polishing belts. This is what turns. If you saw that roughness, so it's going to be like a satin finish there. So we put one of the belts on. This one will be fine. More water. And that then turns that cut edge into an almost final polished sheen. Next stop is this one. I've taken that sharpness of the inside bevel. But this is actual pumice.
Right.
Okay, and that will take that to a really nice finish. Wash, and then the hand bit, which is diamond file. We'll have a close look at this. Take any roughness off the corner. And then the final one is this. Get more polish. Push through. And apart from drying, the finished article. How it was originally, with that roughish satin finish, that's how it is with the, once it's gone through the polishing process with the belts and the cerium pastes, the pumice and cerium pastes.
you please introduce yourself?
My name is McWee. I'm 67 years old, born in Birmingham. Worked in this area of the Black Country for many years. I was originally a jeweller. I was working in the glass quarter in Hockley in Birmingham from about the age of 16 to about 18. For reasons I shouldn't really say, but the working conditions were pretty much straight out of Oliver Twist.
Right.
Yes, so I was forever getting flus and colds, and my father at the time said, find something better. And then I had a spell in the motor trade for a good 25 years.
That's more than a spell, isn't it? I mean,
More than a spell.
A century. That's
a quarter of a century.
That's a career. If I ever heard it, yeah.
And then my daughter was born in 1995, so I took redundancy. Literally became a house husband.
Right. Okay.
And in the meantime, while looking after my daughter, I was actually starting to make glass guitar slides.
Right.
So it was like part house husband, part glass guitar slides. And then
was there anything? What drew you to the idea of making glass guitar
I just
slides?
could not get a decent one.
Right.
I started playing guitar in around about the early 70s, and my the influences I was listening to was pretty much bands like Led Zeppelin,
Right.
blue rock with a tinge of blues. I mean, one of my heroes was, and still is, Robin Trower. And I was listening to some Robin Trower, and I started to play guitar, basically listening from records and buying books. Obviously it was way before the internet. And then I went to a party, as you do when you're 17, 18, with a packet of 10 cigarettes and a case of Newcastle Brown, and one of my friends put on an album which was the Allman Brothers,
Right.
live at Fillmore East.
Okay.
And although I was learning to play chords and rock stuff, as soon as I heard Dwayne Allman play a slide, it was like, what is this? What am I listening to? And
Not the first time Allman Brothers have been mentioned, and maybe not even the first time that album's been mentioned.
Oh,
I think
yes,
it's a
that
very
was the-
influential album.
that would be the catalyst, certainly for a lot of pretty much slide players of my age,
Right.
60s and onwards, will always cite
Right.
live at Fillmore East. I went and got myself a couple of slides, learnt about open tunings,
Right.
and started learning slide. And I was doing that till around about 74, 75. And at that point, another big influence, again, it's linked into the Allman Brothers. A friend of mine bought me an album called Dwayne Allman Anthology,
Right.
which is basically all the leftover stuff from his studio work, and there was a couple of tracks on there which are left off, literally outtakes from the Eric Clapton Layla album, which were two acoustic albums played on one of these. And I heard these two numbers, and that was when the hairs on my arm, the back of my neck stood up, and I thought, I've got to find out what this is.
So was that the first time you'd heard like a resonator?
I'd never heard a resonator before.
Right. Okay. And a resonator with a slide.
With a slide.
Right.
Yeah, and I just played those tracks over and over and over, thinking I've got to find out what this is. And through a couple of American guitar magazines, I found out it was called a National. Well, at that time you couldn't get them. So I'm talking mid-70s. So
You couldn't get them here in the UK or in general?
you couldn't get them in general.
Right.
I mean, they stopped producing them in 1941, so it was like
Right.
looking in the the NME to see if anybody was selling one or stumbling on a shop or some kind of second-hand shop that had got them. And a local guitar shop in Birmingham phoned up and they said, well, we've got one of these things, it's called a dobro, it's a metal-bodied dobro. It's like the younger brother to one of these.
Right.
Which is, I think, is like a 1975 one. And I went and bought that and just played the hell out of it. And literally didn't touch an electric guitar for about 10 years. Right. All I was doing was that. But this is where the link comes in with the slides. Dwayne Allman played a glass slide. I wanted glass. I kept going to the guitar shops in Birmingham and surrounding areas and said, I want a good glass slide. And all they would offer me were the trade name is Pyrex, but it's called borosilicate.
Right. Which
is what you will get with any Jim Dunlop glass slide. It's lightweight, it's very cheap. Sometimes they fit, sometimes they don't. And on the electric, sometimes they fit,
right, okay.
Sometimes they don't. And if you're playing on the electric guitar and you've got a pedal board and you're plugged into a Marshall amp at the back, they will sound fantastic.
Right.
On one of these things, they sound bloody awful.
Right.
They've got no sustain, no volume, nothing. And I tried and tried and tried to find a good glass slide. And then basically doing some trawl in the record shops in Birmingham, I came across a shop called The Discovery and they had these LPs and one of them was by Furry Lewis. And I turned it over and you've got an old National. And on the back, you've got a picture of him with a bottleneck. One of these, a proper, genuine wine bottleneck. And I thought, I've got to get myself one of those. And of course, nobody made those. And I went into the guitar shops with literally carrying this album and saying, sell me one of those. We can't. You can't buy those. And so I went into one of the local, it was actually called Midland Educational, craft shops.
Right.
And they got a thing called a bottle chopper, which is like a metal jig thing which held a glass cutter and a disc, and you put it into the lip of the bottle, put the glass cutter on, spun it round, tap it off with a hammer, you got a bottleneck.
Right.
And I started making dozens of them, mainly for me. Around this time I'd actually joined a band playing rhythm and slide guitar, a fantastic lead guitar that played rhythm and slide. And people kept coming up to me on stage after the gig and saying, where did you get that from? One of my bottlenecks.
Right.
I said, well, you can't, I make them. Oh, do you sell them? Light bulb moment.
Yes.
Bing! Hang on a bit. And I started selling them at gigs.
So when was this?
This is around about the late 70s, early 80s.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I couldn't get enough. I was cracking these things off left, right and centre and selling them.
Right. So there was a demand there in the late 70s, early 80s.
There was a demand
for really authentic blues sound.
That's right.
From a belt. So just briefly, if you don't mind me interrupting you, because you've hinted already at the sound difference, the quality of the sound difference between glass and Pyrex, and I guess also metal as well.
Metal as well. Right. Again, it's a completely different tone.
Right, okay. So there's tone, you've mentioned tone, volume and sustain, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Are they the three main differences?
Three main differences,
right, okay.
Yeah. Metal slides will give you that really good sharp biting sound.
Right.
With plenty of sustain. And most of a good weight.
Right.
But you still got that spiky treble tone.
Really tinny sort of sound.
That's it,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
Loads of volume. But if you want something warmer, smoother, so for want of a better word, a thicker tone, you've got to go glass or ceramic.
Right.
Now,
okay, so now you've mentioned ceramic, so there's 4 different materials right there.
There's hundreds now.
Right, okay.
There's dozens of different materials, but that at the time were the main ones.
They were the main 4.
Yeah.
Your glass, Pyrex, ceramic or metal.
That's right, yeah. Again, ceramic falls into like a halfway kind of thing. They've got a warm sound, but they're lightweight, so you lose that sustain with ceramic.
Right. So it's the density.
It's
that
the
would
density.
Help, that would help with
Exactly.
the sustain.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The denser, the more mass you have in a slide, certainly on nationals and acoustics,
Right.
the much better tone you're going to get.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, with electrics
And sustain. Did
and
you say?
sustain.
And sustain.
Yeah,
Right.
the note will just ring
Right.
and
Okay.
just go on and on. I say again, when people talk to these things about these slides to folks, I say, like, you've got to think of it in two different camps, because electrics, you can use anything, electric guitars,
Right.
because you've got your pedals. You want more sustain, just put a compressor pedal in.
Right.
You want more bass,
You can do something with it, can't you?
yeah, you can twiddle a few knobs, and then you've got your sound. You can't do that with one of these,
Right.
you know, because all you've got with one of these is the guitar, the strings, and your slide.
Yeah, because those resonators are not amplified. You don't even plug anything into them, no?
Well, you can get pickups now, but
Right.
to be honest, they just make it into a more of like a semi-acoustic, electrical. You know, although you've got a resonator guitar,
Yeah.
unless you spend hundreds of pounds on a very special custom-made pickup in these,
Right.
you've got an electric guitar.
So you're better off miking it, essentially.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah. Shure SM58, about 10 inches from the cone, that's where you'll get the sound.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so
Yeah. Sorry. You were
yeah,
saying-
no, so what happened was then, 93, I went to the link is there, the Gloucester Blues Festival.
Right.
And I went
Crikey, we're going full circle. Right. Go on.
full circle, 93 this is now. So I was still making these things, still selling them. But there was really no outlet for them apart from me selling them at gigs.
And people coming up to you and going, "Oh, I don't suppose you
Yeah,
want
yeah.
those," like you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, give me a fiver, there's a bottleneck.
Right.
And I met a fella from Worcester, or he actually was from Malvern, named Richard Atherton. At the time, he was just signing up for, he just bought a shop in Worcester called National in the UK, and he was importing the brand new National guitars, because I started remaking them in California in 1989.
Right.
And I was actually showing my bottleneck to a guy named Bob Brosnan. People will know him. It's a long story, people who know about him will know, but he's not around anymore. And I was showing him this bottleneck I made, and Richard was standing behind me. He looked over my shoulder, he said, "Can you make those?" I said, "Well, yeah, I've made them. Can I sell them in my shop?" I said, "Of course I can." So from 93 when out in the shop to 97 when unfortunately the shop ceased trading, I was making dozens of them.
Right.
Linking into that, obviously I couldn't make the amount that he wanted to sell in the shop, so I had to find somebody who could make them quicker than I could with my little bottle chopper and my grinding wheel, which is where I met the guys.
Right.
I came down and saw the guys at Red House Crafts, and I said, "Can you make these? Give me 10 minutes." And there it was. That would took me 2 hours. He'd done me 10 minutes. So
you've increased efficiency and productivity.
instantly, yeah.
Okay.
And I thought it would take me 2 hours to get anywhere near this, and they've just done one in 10 minutes.
Is that because they had much better tools
All the machines.
and all the machines?
All the machines you've
some of
just
the
seen
things
there.
that we've just seen.
Yeah. The exact same machines I was using back in 1994, 95.
Right.
So I was doing those for the shop, and then I went to there was a guitar show. It was a regular guitar show in Leicestershire. It was run by Sheehan's Guitars in Leicester. And by chance I went over there and took a couple of bottleneck slides.
In Leicester?
In Leicester, yeah. It was at the Leicester Racecourse. And me and a friend went over there. And I showed them to a musician called Kevin Brown he's down in Bath and Corsham in Wiltshire, who is a stunning musician. And if anyone wants to hear some acoustic slide played good, dig out a Kevin Brown album.
You heard it?
Dig out a Kevin Brown album. That's right, yeah. He's got a set of CDs and They're wonderful. What a musician. And he looked at me, he said, ever thought of doing hand-blown crystal? And I thought, no, but I'm in the right place to find out. So, in a nutshell, I came back here. The guys here introduced me to a couple of glassmakers. Next thing I know, I'm getting tubes arrived from the glassmakers, and of course I've got all the machines in there, as you've seen, to cut and polish. Yeah. And that's when these hand-blown crystal ones were made. And these slides are absolutely perfect for these old acoustics, resonators.
Right.
Of course they look fine on electrics, but if you feel the weight of that...
Yeah, when I picked one up earlier for the first time, I was like, that is pretty weighty.
Yeah, that's right. Which is what you don't get with those Dunlop Pyrex and the borosilicate ones.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to power up one of these.
And to really make that sing.
Really make that sing.
So something's going on somewhere. If you can hear any applause in the background, we don't know what's going on, but something's going on. We're here. Well, okay. So when you say here, where are we then? Let's explain.
We are in the Ruskin Glass Centre, which is in the Black Country, Wollaston, Stourbridge. We're in an area called the Crystal Mile, because this is traditionally the home of glass from the 17th century.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's
a long heritage.
Long heritage. I mean, I could take it outside and show you some of the actual old blue brick walls from where the old buildings used to stand. They're still there.
Right.
And those are from 1700s.
Wow.
And they're still standing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What they used to do was, before they got the new studios with these brand new furnaces, they used to work in cones, 120 foot high cones. There's probably pictures of cones actually in this room where we're sitting now. Yeah, which there is still one standing, which is literally a mile up the road,
right?
Which is actually called the Heritage Glass Museum,
right?
And there's still one standing. But at one point in the early 1800s, mid 1800s, there were 39 glass cones in this quarter mile.
Wow. Okay.
The heart of the glassmaking industry.
Yeah, right.
And of course, we're still here.
And were they exporting it out
all over the world?
Okay.
All over the world. Okay. So if anybody has ever got any interest in glass, come to the Crystal Mile in Stourbridge, go to the White House Heritage Glass Centre, and it's wonderful.
Right.
So all the old canal systems that used to bring the silica in the sand to make the glass.
Right.
And then take all the made glass out to all the different areas.
And all the different ports and send
yeah, that's right.
Right, wow. So when did you start basing yourself here?
Well, I started basing myself here around about 2001.
Right.
Just literally. What was happening was, I said, the lads in the shop there were happy to do them, but I was making so many, they're saying, look, wouldn't it be better if just you come in and make them yourself?
Right.
I said, well, yeah, I'm not doing anything else apart from looking after my daughter. And she was ready for school then, so that was all right. So I came in here, I put an overall on, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, this sounds like one of those stories where, yeah, like as you've said, you just started doing it because out of necessity.
Out of necessity, that's right.
And then before you knew it, it turned into I'm guessing, a profitable business. It makes sense for you to come in and do it all day, every day. That's
right. Instead of paying the lads a bit of money to make them, they said, look, when we're not using the machines, you come and make them. You've got the money coming in for you, keep the business going, and it literally just went through the roof from there.
Right.
Yeah, so we bought the hand-blown slides in. On the website, down on Bottlenecks.com website, you'll see all manner of glass. And happily, people love them. I mean, a quick story, 75% of these go to America.
Wow.
Literally. Simply because they can't make, by law, this type of glass. Because this is lead crystal. Right. Now, it contains, its full English lead crystal is 30% lead. These are 24%. They are perfectly safe, absolutely.
Right. Because nothing's coming out of that glass. Nothing.
No.
So the lead's contained within the
The
glass.
lead's infused into it. It's not going anywhere.
It's not coming out in a way into your skin.
No. There's no way you're going to get harmed with that.
Right.
The Americans, if it's got anything with lead listed, they consider it a toxic material.
And it's a no-no.
So although, and the crazy thing is, American glassmakers can make hundreds of these.
Right.
If they sell it, they go in prison.
Right.
You can't sell it.
Yeah, okay.
It's pointless than making it, because by law, you can't sell it.
You can't sell it. So you wrap those up, lots of bubble wrap, I'm guessing.
Bubble wrap, cardboard.
Bang them straight out
Yeah,
to
small
America.
box, and off they go. There's 2 going.
Okay.
I sent 4 off to America yesterday, and there's 2 going to Poland tomorrow.
And like direct to end users, you're not sending it. I get from the story you just said. I'm guessing you're not sending those out to shops in America.
There are 2 shops in America.
Are there?
There's Austin Music Centre in Austin,
Right.
Texas, and Spruce Tree Music in Madison, Wisconsin.
Right.
There were probably about 8 or 9 over in the States. But since COVID, they've cut back, obviously because of business. And as they say to me, obviously it's all about markup and profits.
Yeah.
You know, they can buy off me easier than they can buy off them.
Right.
Yeah, literally, because
Well, the end users, the customers.
the customers, that's right.
Can
Because
buy off you just
well,
as
exactly.
easily.
Well, the great thing about what we can do is, as I said earlier, there are dozens and dozens, well, hundreds of guitar slide makers.
Right.
But what you tend to get is a small, medium, and large.
Right.
Like
Okay.
17mm internal, 18mm internal, 19mm. What about if you want an 18mm? They can't supply it, but we can.
So you can make them custom size.
Absolutely.
And can you make them? And you can make them custom design. Right. Okay.
Anything.
Anything you want.
That's it, yeah. Take the design, take the drawings to the glassmaker. The glassmaker will look at it and go, right, you want that, you want that, you want that. I mean, this one here, this is going to a guy at the European Blues Association. Once we've cut it off and shaped it, and that's 18.2mm, which is exactly what fits in.
Right.
So that's actually going to the European Blues Association Blues Week in Northampton end of this month.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll ask you more about that off camera.
Right.
That sounds like a very interesting thing that I need to. I need to go and explore. In Northampton.
In
so
Northampton.
in the
Northampton.
UK, European Blues Association.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, if you
Definitely need to know about
if
that.
you'd have done this time last year, I'd have targeted Hartpury College
In Gloucestershire.
in Gloucestershire.
Oh, you're joking.
They
Wow.
stopped doing it this year and moved it back to its original home of Northampton
Okay.
University.
That's all right. Well, thankfully, England's a small place. So, I can get around most places. Wow. Okay. So how many are you producing roughly? Do you have figures on how many you're producing?
We work on average.
Yearly, weekly, whatever it may be.
Weekly, we can turn around about 15 to 20.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. The bottlenecks, those are. I mean, that's these.
Right.
The bottlenecks roughly about 20. We do have a couple of.
So it's nearly 4 a day if you're working.
About 4 a day.
About
4 or 5 a
5
day. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, sharing the workshop with the glass cutters and Richard, who does the restoration and repairs.
Right.
We've only got one set of machines, so I'll grab 10 minutes on there. We'll swap over and I'll do 10 minutes on another machine.
Right.
But if I get 4 or 5, possibly 6 a day, that'll do for me.
Right. Okay. And that's enough to tide you over and keep it
Oh
going?
yeah, without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and the nice thing is as well, I'm never really left with any stock over where I can't sell, because my biggest stockist is Notes on Guitars, which is down in Denmark Street in London.
Right.
And he'll take the lot. He will have everything. He sells them literally worldwide as I do.
Wow.
Yeah, but he just basically takes, I said small, medium and large. He takes those
Right.
for his stock and also the bottlenecks. And I do the custom ones in between that,
Right,
supply
okay.
my shop.
Nice. Okay. And I mean, it's pretty early on to get to it, and I'm sorry to. I mean, I'm sure people have asked you about this as well, but I understand you have some pretty famous customers as well. Is that right? Are you willing to divulge those?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, my favourite story, the biggest one, is Mark Knopfler,
right?
The Dire Straitsman. And one December we had a phone call. It's about 2014-15. We had a phone call here about 2 weeks before Christmas, and Richard answered it. And he came into the shop. I was obviously run up to Christmas. It was like hectic.
Busy trying to get.
And he said, "There's a Geordie on the phone. I can't understand a word he's saying."
Brilliant.
I'm thinking, "There we go." So I picked the phone up and then answered it, and it wasn't. He'd spoke to Mark Knopfler.
Right.
I never did.
Ah.
The guy on the end of the phone was his guitar tech, Glenn Saggers.
Okay.
He just broke his favourite slide.
Right.
I didn't even know he used them, but he'd been using them for 4 years. I never knew. Nobody told me. And I said, "Well, no problem. Where are you? And I'll send one, a replacement." I'm thinking, wow. He says, "We're in Michigan." Oh. He said, "We've got anybody around here?" I said, "Well, the only nearest shop, which is what I told you earlier, was Madison, Wisconsin."
Right.
I said, "They'll stock one." He said, "Right." He said, "When we're back before," he said, "we're back before Christmas from tour. I'll come and see you in the new year, and we'll work out some kind of endorsement deal." We'll have a bit of that. And he came in after Christmas and he said, "Yeah, we've got a slide." I said, "What, from Madison, Wisconsin?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "We got one of the road crew to hire a car, drove 9 hours there, 9 hours back, and bought him 3 slides. Otherwise, he wasn't going to do the numbers. He played slides on."
Wow. 18-hour drive.
An 18-hour drive to get 3 slides.
Wow. They couldn't have got it couriered or something.
I've no idea. I think it was one of those, "Here's the car keys, go."
Get it done. Get back ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, the other ones, Chris Rea, he uses them. And obviously it's the blues guys everybody hears of. Charlie Parr, Catfish Keith, the late Steve James loved our slides. Many more I could mention, but it's mainly aimed again towards the acoustic blues guys.
Right. Yeah, and Knopfler uses a resonator.
He uses a resonator, yeah.
Very famously was even on the front cover of one of the Dire Straits.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And if anybody goes on YouTube and looks on there's a track off one of his 2 albums earlier, and the album is called Tracker.
Right.
So, I think the album's called Tracker, and the track on YouTube is called Tracker.
Right.
And we made him about half a dozen special slides just for him.
Right.
And if you remember the Money for Nothing video,
yes,
with the cartoon one, the big guy with the beard who looked like Bluto out of Popeye.
Yeah.
We had an engraver cameo Bluto on the front of his slides, and you'll see them. And we sold probably about 30 of those. It was literally 2 days' work to make one.
Right.
They worked out about £100 each, and we sold about 30.
Wow. Because people are like, "I want one of those."
They want one of those, yeah. They were so expensive, we never put them on the website.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, nobody's going to buy a slide for £100. But we had people ring up or email and say, "I want a Knopfler slide."
Wow.
The guy now who made those, he's retired now, so they are no more. But
you missed out. If you didn't
missed
get
out,
one.
yes. Steve's retired now. But those were literally the top of the tree. They were fantastic.
And I'm guessing these ones for Mark Knopfler and Chris Rea, I'm guessing you've got all their dimensions that they want.
Yeah.
And do you supply regular ones, or have you supplied an amount now where they're like, "Okay, this is our collection of them, we're okay for now," or do you keep supplying fresh ones?
We just keep supplying fresh ones, as long as they've got the actual, because again, a lot of the customers, they're not bothered about what they look like, the patterns, as long as they've got those 3 things.
Right.
The size, the weight, and the density in the glass, they'll work.
Well, I'm thinking more like 2 people like Mark Knopfler and Chris Rea. Do you keep supplying them with fresh new?
Oh yeah. So Glenn's not working with him now. There's another guy. But once a year he'll phone up. He'll say, "Right, can we have these?" I haven't heard from Chris for 2 or 3 years, but I don't think he's doing up these days. But yeah, we heard from Mark's. These people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never speak to the artists. You speak to the people.
Well, I'm beginning to see that in some circles, the guitar techs are almost just as famous.
Where?
Because if you're really into guitar, you get to learn. I can picture Brian May's guitar tech in my head now because I've seen enough interviews with Brian and with him. There's enough rig rundown videos where they're talking to the tech rather than
that's right.
the actual artist.
Yeah.
Nuno Beckencourt's tech and Steve Vai's tech and all these people. Yeah.
It is the techs who, the guitarists aren't going to travel into London or wherever and they send their guitar guys. The one that, I suppose you call it the one that got away, I had a phone call from Charlie Chandler at Chandler's Guitars in Kew. He is the first call for a lot of the big players. And I was chatting to him one day, he said, I don't know if I've ever told you, he said. I said, go on, Charlie. He said, do you know Jeff Beck's got a couple of your slides? No. Oh, yeah, he said his guitar tech took a couple. So if you ever speak to him again, just ask him what they were. I never heard anything back.
Wow. We never will know now,
no.
Unless we speak to the guitar tech.
That's it. Yeah, and the other one, big name, who again, very similar story, is Raikuda.
No.
Yeah. We had a phone call from a guy up in the Wirral.
Right.
He was the president of the UK Raikuda fan club.
Okay.
And he phoned us here. He said, if I supply you a couple of bottles, which I know Raikuda uses.
Right.
So if I sent them to you, could you make me 2 slides so I can send them over to Raikuda to show what English craftsmen can do?
Right.
I said, yeah, well, and about 6 weeks later, we had 2 of those. These expensive bottles come with in the wooden crates, wooden coffins with a slider, and there were 2 empty tequila bottles.
Right. Okay. Brilliant.
So
love that.
So we did what we had to do.
Yeah.
Cut them up. He sent us the sizes, and as a guitar player I tried it on and it was awful.
Right.
The glass was thin, it was way too big for me. I'm thinking, I'm sure he's got this wrong. So we did them and we sent them up and we heard no more of it. And then again, fast forward 2 or 3 months later, he rang me up, he said, Rye's got the slides, absolutely loves them. He says, can I send you a couple more bottles? You'll love this story, by the way. I said, yeah, please do. He said, I've got to tip the contents away first because I don't drink. I'm going to send you the empties. And I said, look, just send them forward.
Just send.
We'll look after them.
We'll deal with that.
Yeah. I never heard a thing back off him. I don't know if I upset him because it was purely teetotal or what. We never heard any more.
Oh no.
Yeah,
okay.
But I was sent.
Don't worry about emptying them. We'll sort that out.
Yeah, don't worry about empty. Just send them. We'll even send you some money for what you're sending. Yeah. But so the nice thing was about the next, probably about 8 months later, we did receive 2 photos of Raikuda with the Bottleneck playing on his Kudacaster.
Wow.
Yeah.
When was that roughly?
Though this has got to be about 10 years ago.
Okay.
10 years ago, something like that.
Because that's a very, that's, you know, that plays a small part in my story. Because I was that kid in the 80s who watched that film Crossroads.
Crossroads, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That Raikuda did the soundtrack for.
He certainly did.
And that famous duel scene at the end.
With Steve Vai.
Steve Vai and the Karate Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's still there would appear to be some grey area, but I think it's pretty recognised that Raikuda played the Ralph Macchio parts and Vai played his parts.
That's right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
which then, but isn't he using like the character appears to be using a metal slide in that? But
at the start of the film he is, and then he goes on to a proper bottleneck.
Right.
Yeah. And that was called by a good friend of mine. He ran a company called Mr. B's Bottlenecks. His name was Brenton Sadrianili.
Right.
And he supplied 3 of them for the film.
For the film.
He supplied the 3 for the film.
Wow, because I've seen some interviews. Apparently, Ralph Macchio still got the Telecaster that was used, and the red Jackson, which is the reason I have a Jackson.
I was wondering about that.
It's absolutely the reason I have a Jackson. Because if it's good enough for Jack Butler, it's good enough for me.
Oh, yes.
That is in a it's in a Hard Rock cafe somewhere.
Yeah.
Because apparently the one he drops at the end of the scene was a staged one.
Yeah.
Was a stage one. And Vi didn't have any deals with any manufacturers at the time, so he was free to use whatever. So Jackson was like, "We'll make some guitars then."
Yeah.
And apparently, I read an article that somebody was chasing after trying to get a replica of it,
Yeah.
and somebody at Jackson said, "We still have. Do you need to speak to you?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you want to stop it for now?
Yeah, go on then. Let's pause it. We'll come back to the
Wonderful.
story. So yeah, so my basic understanding is that in this article, this guy was looking to make one of those red Jacksons, and somebody at Jackson said, "I think I've just about got enough of that original red paint left to make one guitar out of it." So yeah, there is somewhere an exact replica, and he reckons he's located that original guitar to a Hard Rock cafe somewhere. It's up on the wall somewhere and that. But I mean, wow, so you know the guy that supplied the slides for Rye to play on the soundtrack and to appear in the film that Ralph Macchio is using.
Yeah.
Wow.
My good friend Brenton,
Wow.
says he's actually an airline pilot now. I don't know who managed to go from glass size to an airline pilot, but yeah, he supplied 3 for the film.
I think there's a lot of people, maybe my age, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger, who would all state that they watched that film.
I remember it well.
Yeah, it was an interesting film.
And he said it's never been shown on television, and I've never seen a DVD. I've never seen a VHS tape of it anywhere.
I know, right? It's almost like a bit of a weird cult film in a way.
It is.
It
is.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know about it.
No.
Because it struck me, all in good jest. People are like, "You've got the wrong guitar, mate," when I first started turning up to the blues jams, because I'm there with my pointy headstock and all this gear. And I'm like,
doesn't matter.
Exactly. But I'm like, well, if it's good enough for Jack Butler, it's good enough for me. And
Exactly.
people are giving me weird looks. I'm like, you don't know what I'm referring to, do you? You don't know what I'm talking about. Like, that's really odd. No.
But anybody who was into guitars, and certainly blues, would have seen that film. I think the thing that's put a lot of people off is that they can't figure out the ending. Well, all of a sudden, Ralph Macchio beats him doing classical...
With a classical guitar piece.
Yeah. And of course, for all the blues lovers, slide lovers, blues rock guitar lovers, it's like, what?
Yeah, why is he... Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You've won playing classical?
Yeah.
I think that's probably a damp squid to it.
Yeah, I can see what they're getting at, yeah. I mean, I guess he had to pull out whatever he could, because his soul was on the line. But
Well, that's it. The thing is as well, I don't care what he can do with a slide.
Yeah.
When you see Steve Vai do his Jack Butler bit, think, you're not going to match that with a slide. You were really good to match that with a slide.
Well, he does a famous track called Bad Horsey that he plays with a slide.
Yeah. Well, the horse neighs.
Yeah. And I don't quite, I think he's got like a holder on the back of the headstock that he puts it on. Because you see him, he takes it on and off during the song when he plays it live.
Yeah.
I don't know what type of slide he's using. But like you say, because it's an electric guitar,
Doesn't matter what
it doesn't really make much difference. Okay.
Yeah, he's playing through processors, foot pedals, and
a whole world.
Exactly. He can get any sound, any tone he wants.
And to his credit, he's pretty good at actually knowing what all those things do and knowing. I think another one like that is Brian May. He pretty much knows what all these things are doing and how the electrics of it work and what it does to the signal and all that gear. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are just like, my tech just sorts it out, it's fine, it just makes it make the noise I want it to. Yeah,
that's right. Well, they're like stage managers, aren't they? The guitar techs.
Yeah.
Although the guitarist's got like a box in front of him with presets, it's all been put in there.
Yeah.
And it's all worked backstage.
Yeah. Okay, so So there you are. So sort of early 2000s you came here, and you've been here for the last 20 years.
Ever since.
Doing this.
Yep.
And I mean, again, excuse my naivety, but I guess the process of making them has been pretty much the same for the last 20 years. Or have you been able to refine it or do anything? Did you not need to because it was
you
already...
don't need to.
Right.
You really don't need to. The actual, the materials, obviously the silica with the percentage of lead, the way that the glassmakers made them. I mean, the silly thing is, well, it's not silly at all. When you start learning glass blowing, the first thing you got to learn is to make a tube.
Right.
It's the first thing you learn, make a tube. If you can make a tube, you're off and running. It's getting the sizing right.
Right.
That's the secret. And I say so we used to use 3 glass makers to make these. Steve Bradley from Devon, again, he retired 2021. He did all the real fancy custom stuff like the Mark Knopfler one I mentioned earlier.
Right.
There's from day one we've used a glassmaker based up in Matlock in Derbyshire.
Right.
Anthony Wassell. He's now 70, but he sold his glass shop to his apprentices.
Right.
And the shop's called Lumsdale Glass in Lumsdale in the Peak District. But he goes in once every 3 months, makes me tubes, and then I say these, which are made by Bamforth, are made in the hot shop just round the other side of the centre.
In this centre, in this complex, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm down to 2, but the 2 guys that make them for me are just wizards.
And like you say, they present you with the raw tubes before you then cut them down.
That's right, we have the raw tubes. Because there's a hot shop, which is where they actually make the tubes, and then there's a cold working shop, which is what we are.
Right, okay, so you're the cold working
We're the cold working shop, the hot shop, cold shop.
Right, okay. And you want to be in the hot shop during the winter and in the cold shop during the summer.
It's weird. In the hot shop, when it's -5 outside, they're looking out the window going, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And when it's 27 degrees, we're outside going, ha ha.
Yeah, I can well imagine.
I think, was it last week or the week before when we had that little hot spell?
When we had summer for
that's
2 or
it,
3
yeah.
days. Yeah.
It was 43 degrees in that hot shop.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah. We've always said you will never see an overweight glassmaker.
Because they're working in a sauna.
Exactly. Whatever weight they put over the winter, they lose it in the summer.
Right. Well, I don't know when we're going to see that. I'm not sure when I'm going to drop it in, but there is some footage of Ian finishing off. You finished off that dome one, didn't you?
This one here.
Yeah.
That's what I finished off. Yeah.
And may I hold that? Thank you. Yeah. So that end was rough and it was dangerous. It was sharp.
It was sharp.
Yeah, sharp. This end here. And now, as you can see, perfectly round, nice and smooth, not sharp or dangerous in any way, ready to be used. So if you're only listening to this, we do have the YouTube channel. You can see all these slides that we're talking about. But I think it's probably about time. Let's start hearing what a slide does. Now, first of all, we have touched on this. I've touched on this with other people. Are you playing in an open tune?
This is in open D tuning.
Now, just again, for anyone who's maybe watching this for the first time or doesn't know anything about this, tell us what that means roughly.
Right, what it is if you're in normal standard tuning, say concert tuning, and you strum 6 strings, it won't sound like a chord. If you tune open, which means you go open G, open D, open A, open E, but
whatever it may be.
Yeah, but on these you go down to open D and G.
Okay.
Electrics, you go up to A or E, but you couldn't do that. So when you strum the 6 strings, that's a D chord.
Right. And so if I was to take my guitar with a normal tuning and put my fingers in the D position and strum it,
That's what you get.
that's what I'd hear. But right now, you don't need to press any of the strings on any of the frets because it's already like
It's already
that.
there. It's already there.
Yeah, okay.
And I say, well, obviously, if you know your chord positions, you've got D, and then you've got A.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Which now looks different.
It does.
Your fingers are in a different position to where mine would be for
Yeah.
A because the strings are
The
tuned
strings
differently.
are all different in a different shape. And then E,
Right.
D. So there's your tune.
There's your first, fourth, and fifth chords.
That's
yeah.
it.
Ready for
Yeah.
playing the blues. Which I guess is all. Which also means your pentatonic scale shape looks completely different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There are a lot of the big thing at the moment is people hundreds of YouTube videos of people playing sliding standard tuning.
Right.
That is amazing, but I'm a bit too old to learn that.
Right. Okay. So that's interesting because if at the moment, because I've put so much work and time and effort into learning the pentatonic shapes,
Yes.
I'm the other way around. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't now then relearn a whole bunch of stuff in an open tuning chord. I think I'd want to just play slide
Yeah,
in what I know.
that's
But
right.
I also get that doesn't seem to be what a lot of people do.
No,
The vast majority of people I speak to are playing slide in some sort of open
open
tune.
tunes. That's right. Yeah. I mean, there are YouTube videos. Again, going back to the Allman Brothers connection, the guy Warren Haynes,
Right.
who was one of the last guitarists in the Allman Brothers, he's got 2 or 3 YouTube videos on how to play sliding standard tuning, and
Right.
he did that on stage. For
Right.
the Allmans, he never played in open tunings, and his
Right.
slide work is extraordinary.
And do we know about? Okay, you must know about Derek Trucks.
Oh, Derek Trucks, yes.
Does he play in a open chord? Or
He's the other way. Again, extraordinary guitarist because everything he plays, which is both slide and lead,
Yeah.
is in open E.
Right. So he does play in a. Open
He can play
chord.
jazz chords in open E.
Wow. Okay.
That is just, it's
So he's
astonishing.
just refigured his thinking of the
That's
fretboard
right,
to make
that's
it go
right.
with open E rather
That's
than.
right.
And when you say open E, you mean he strums it? And
Yeah,
it sounds like
it will sound like this.
Right. Of course, because now you're also saying because the because the D is at
D.
the nut.
That's
So
it.
I'm guessing you've got D,
D
sharp,
sharp,
E, next one's
E,
F, E,
F,
F
G.
sharp, G, A, B, C.
that's right.
Yeah, all the way down
Yeah.
until you get back to the D
That's
again
right.
right here.
Yeah, because your slide and your straight finger basically works like a capo.
Yeah.
So all those are your but Derek Trucks.
So with that in mind, then, sorry, just
Yeah,
briefly.
go on.
So if you've got the D at the nut.
Mm-hmm.
So your fourth would be sort of where here.
About there, yeah.
So there's your D,
yeah.
F, G. There's your G, yeah. There's your G, and then A. Right. So you could just do that as well as that
yeah.
alternate finger.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
That's right.
Of the open chord, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, again, sound like Keith Richards, a typical example. He plays everything in open E.
Right. Okay.
He takes his 6th string off,
Yeah.
and it's all open because. Which is a majority of the stuff anyway. But yeah,
Blue shuffle.
the blue shuffle.
Yeah,
But to
yeah.
work in open chords, it's simple. You can, as long as you're playing that style of music
Yeah.
with that sort of shuffle, choose an open chord. And
So right now, as obvious as it might be for as much as any half decent muso is shouting at the screen right now, what are the notes that these 6 strings are now open then?
right, this is D,
Yeah.
A,
So the A string remains the same.
Yeah.
D's tuned down
D,
a step.
A,
Yeah.
D,
Right.
F sharp,
Right.
A,
Yeah.
D. So
Okay.
D, A, D, F sharp, A, D.
Right. Which are the first, third, and fifth notes of the D major.
D major.
D major scale,
That's it.
which make up the D major chord. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're geeking out. Don't worry about that. we're doing that. Don't you worry about
No
that.
problem with geeking.
Yeah,
we do
right.
geek.
Musical geek. I'm kind of getting into it, to be honest. Kind of quite like it.
Yeah.
And just very briefly, I know we're coming off slightly, but you've got a different neck on that, haven't you? 'Cause
That's
you've
right.
got
What
E
happened
on the
was,
12th fret.
the crazy thing, another story. I bought this for, well, actually, what I did, I bought this for £300
Right.
and part exchange that Dobro I told you about, that first one I bought.
Oh, right, yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah.
And that was in 1983.
Right, okay.
In 1985, Dire Straits brought out Brothers in Arms album, you know, with the
With a very
resonator.
shiny,
Yeah.
nice resonator on it, yeah.
Everyone who owned these put an extra nought on the tag. So it used to be £300, became £3,000.
Right.
And this is a workhorse.
Right,
I
okay.
have another resonator, which is called a tricone, which is the three cones instead of the single one.
Right.
That was made by a guy named Steve Evans, Beltona Guitars in Leeds.
Right.
And when I bought that, he offered a plethora of custom stuff.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'll have that, but I want an ebony fingerboard with my name on the 12th fret.
Yeah.
And I took this to him because, obviously being in Leeds, he actually, this neck I've lived with forever. I said, can you shape the neck to match this? He said, yeah, no problem. Well, he had this. He said, are you ever considering selling that? I said, that's not going anywhere. I said, well, really, if I match the fingerboard with the one on your new guitar. And I thought, that sounds like a plan. Because they wear out anyway. The
Right.
fingerboards on the original ones were basically like fibreboard. They were like crushed paper
Right.
and wore terribly. I mean, when I bought this, if you can imagine an E7th chord there, those were dipped in, the wear.
Wow.
And okay, you know, you think, oh, I've got to keep the wear on that because it's traditional.
Because it's all part of the patina. Yeah.
But it's a workhorse.
Yeah, yeah, it's got to work as well.
It's got to work. And I've played this since day one. I'm thinking, I'm not going to, you know, obviously if you change anything on one of these, you lose the money.
Yeah.
But if it's a workhorse and it's going to improve it,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer.
Right, so give us a bit of a demonstration.
I'll use.
Which one? The one you've just
The one-
made. Literally just made.
And that's what I say about that sustain. If
Yeah,
you're
right,
using
yeah.
like a Pyrex and you did this, they don't have gone by now.
Right, okay.
That's still ringing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like you say, if you've got it mic'd up, then you'll be able to hear that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of these, a good microphone like a Shure SM58, about that far, was 10, 12 inches from the cone.
Yeah.
That is the optimum sound for one of these. Then they put pickups there, or they put pickups inside here. The ones inside the cone actually work.
Right,
They're
okay.
pretty good.
Okay.
It's just a humbuckers.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
then you're just turning it into, like you say, it's just an electric guitar, basically.
That's
yeah,
right, yeah.
Yeah,
And the times you've said to people who say, oh yeah, I've got this fantastic humbucker put on my resonator. Well, what is an electric guitar?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's what you've turned it into.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Buy an electroacoustic or something. Or
Exactly.
Or a hollow body.
Yeah, you don't need to haul one of them.
Yeah.
These aren't light, you don't haul one of these.
Right. Are they not? Okay. I never. Oh, God, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. For
Yeah.
what looks like an
Yeah.
acoustic guitar, that's got a bit.
It's got a lot of
bit
weight.
of weight. to it,
Yeah.
hasn't it?
The later ones, when National restarted remaking these back in the late 80s, they were heavier than this.
Right. Okay.
Lord knows what steel they were using. They're a lot lighter now.
Right.
but the older ones just got some magic to them.
Yeah.
There's just something about.
So is this
an
an original 1940s?
So 1933.
Wow.
So 1930, yeah, serial number C6934, and
can you date it from that serial number?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Anybody who's into these?
I think you've just taken the title of the oldest guitar so far.
Yeah, 1933. And this is called the National Duolium.
Right.
And it's the rarest one because, again, this is totally for nerds.
We're here for it.
Pre-93, these, what they call F-holes, were flat cuts.
Right.
1933 till probably very early January 34, they made the larger body, the 12th fret, the 12, what they call the 12 fret to the body,
right,
with these rolled F-holes. From 34, they shortened the body, so it had come down to the 14th fret.
Right, okay.
So these are the holy grail of this guitar.
Wow.
But I say, anybody who's into these, a very, very good friend of mine, sound like advertising, but I've got to tell him because it's, yeah, a guy named Mark Makin. He lives down in Somerset. He is the world's top authority on these guitars.
Right.
He's got a book out, and it's called Palm Trees, Senoritas and Rocket Ships, because they're all the designs that National Guitars made.
Right. That's the name of the three major ones?
But that's the patterns. The ones of these had palm trees engraved on them.
Right, right.
Senoritas, the ones they had dancing Spanish senoritas on the back.
Nice.
And the rocket ships were the lap style guitars that did look like rocket ships.
Wow.
The electric ones. I say palm trees, senoritas and rocket ships, and if ever you want to get into these big time, buy one of Mark's book. Mark Makin.
Mark Makin, right, okay. Okay. So just thank you for that. And also just briefly I want to get into, so when you were playing then, sorry, I see you've taken
No, I can put it back on, that's not a problem. Go on,
I'm interested in sort of what you're thinking about in terms of, I mean, that little thing you just played there, was that a quick improvisation? Or
just a quick improvisation.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So where are you thinking about where you want to take that slide to on the neck and what you're doing with it?
Well, again, it's the 1-4-5.
Right.
Yeah. And the 12. And pretty much every known traditional blues song just has those chords.
Yes, the 1-4-5.
1-4-5. And so you can just add little bits in from like the 7th, 9th, just add little bits in. But again, as I say, with this as being a traditional blues guitar.
Yeah. I mean, especially from 33, crikey, that's just right. That's when they were all doing it. That's that's the original guys. There's a sort of Robert Johnson era.
Yeah. I mean, I've played one of the first ones, which is in Mark Makin's collection.
Right.
It was in 1927. It's a square neck, so it's obviously a Hawaiian guitar. It's 1927.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot there to explore, isn't there, with that sort of.
Oh yeah.
Good. And what are, so is it the open tunings that people use? What are there common open tunings?
Common open tunings.
I keep hearing G and D.
Yeah, G and D.
Right.
Yeah, G and D are these where you actually drop them down.
Right.
To the like a semitone down on the open tuning.
Yeah.
Electric should go up to A and E because. Obviously, with the resonator, the speaker cone in here, if you put too much pressure on, that will crush it.
Yeah, you don't want to be.
So you don't want to. You don't want to go up on it.
Down,
than up. That's it. Yeah. Probably. What do you fucking remember how to do it?
No, you don't change anything with it. You're fine. Oh, he's doing it anyway.
D minor.
Right.
There were a D minor there. But that's difficult.
Did you change that third note then?
Yeah,
haven't you?
that's
From
right.
what? From a F sharp to an F? Or?
F sharp to an F sharp to an, it's gone down two
Right.
semitones, so it's probably an E.
Yeah. Yes.
It's an E. But with that, when you try and slide,
Oh, that's not very.
that's the haunting one.
Oh, yeah.
Rockuda uses
Yeah.
that a lot.
It's a very different sound, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other one, which I think is a D modal. Yeah, there's a D modal one. Again, which just gives you a different voice.
Yeah. And you're doing all that by ear, aren't you? There's no tuning on the back.
No. It's something, when you've got one of these, it's what you learn.
Yeah.
You actually you tune your ear to the guitar.
There we go. Right. So what are your plans at the moment with remind me, it's Diamond
Bottlenecks.
Diamond Bottlenecks.
Well, basically, we still get a lot of orders.
Right.
Yeah. So certainly from we've cut back on the shops a lot. As I said, since COVID, certainly the American ones, they're tending to buy more made in USA.
Right.
The specialist shops still use us. And again, with Brexit's kind of like put a bit of a damper on it, because obviously anything we send out over there now, over to mainland Europe, you've got to pay tariff on.
Yeah.
So you've got to pay a tax on that. So although you can probably sell, say, a €30 slide plus shipping 45, by the time they've paid that and it's delivered, they're paying an extra €8 or €9 on it.
Yeah. And then
So
that puts it in a slightly different price bracket.
it does, yeah, that's right. It's actually not worked too bad for me, because we've got a new mainland distributor in Holland
Right.
named Mainwood Guitars, and he specialises in these.
Right.
Yes, Mainwood Guitars, and he's buying huge amounts off me. But of
Nice.
course, the thing is, because of that, he's paying the tariff. So when the customers buy off him, they're not going to have to pay again
Right.
to have the slide. So he takes the hit for the import duties, and then the customer in the mainland Europe, instead of buying directly off me and having to pay that extra, can buy off mainland.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So it sounds like you don't need to think too far ahead in terms of development or business plan. It's just ticking over. It's doing its
that's
thing.
right,
People
that's
want
right.
these things.
Yeah.
Do they wear out?
You have to play them a lot to wear them out.
Right.
Well, I think there's one here. I'll get it now. I had in my tray down there. I had a customer come in this morning, and he bought a sliding which he's used constantly, and he bought it in 2008.
Right. Okay. So we're getting on for what's that, like, well, to 14 would be another 16 years.
Another 16 years, yeah. And he bought that in.
That took too much. For me to do.
Literally 4, because as you get older, and if you're a guitar player, your knuckles do take a battery.
Right.
And he got arthritis in his slide finger.
Right.
So he needed a bigger slide. I'll just go and...
Yeah, go and find it. We can keep it rolling.
I'll go and find it. It's just in this box here. Anyway, so literally, he came in around about 11 o'clock-ish.
A 16-year-old slide.
A
Is what we're going to look at
16-year-old
now.
slide.
I think I know what you're going to present to me and what
There
you're
you
going to
go.
say about it.
And it was that.
Right.
That was the one. And he
So
said,
this is a 16-year-old slide.
and he said,
And I can't see any signs of any.
Exactly.
That looks like it was made yesterday.
exactly.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I need a bigger size. So we did have one in our stock. So
You take that in case I accidentally drop
he
it.
said, and he left it with me. He said, you can have that.
Oh, right, okay.
He said, I can't play it. He said, it doesn't fit my
Right.
finger anymore.
Right, okay.
And I looked at him and said, when did you buy this? He says, 2008. He said, and I've used it daily since
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's a lovely pattern on the top as well.
It is.
I like the way that meets. Look at the way that meets at the top.
then. Yeah. So that's when that
Sorry.
Steve, who's now retired, that was one of his specials.
Wow.
Yeah. But now they...
Yeah, that looks like it. You could have told me that was made yesterday, and I wouldn't have questioned
No.
that at all.
That
Yeah.
2008. Well, say 2008 he bought that.
Wow.
Yeah. And the thing is as well, I mean, I have seen ones that had chunks taken out of them.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
So that must be through like a little bit of
yeah.
something happening to it for that to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. If anybody ever sees the name mentioned, he's probably the busiest guitar player I know. His real name's Danny Wilson, but he goes under the moniker of Big Joe Bone.
Right.
You've probably seen him to Gloucester a lot. Does all the blues festivals in Gloucester. He plays 2 resonators.
Nice.
He takes no prisoners.
Right.
And
Right.
He's when he goes for it, he goes for it big time, and he hits the body of the guitar, catches the frets, and whenever he's passing, he's got about half a dozen of our slides. He'll bring in the ones that he's used, and they're pitted and they're scuffed. But say with the machines that we've got in there with the belts, we can polish them out in 15 minutes.
Wow.
Literally back to brand new.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, we're still busy. We've still got people pleading for slides.
Well, I was going to say, we can end on this. This has been great, and I definitely want to come back and do another one.
Oh, thank you.
I mean,
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is really, really great. And I think there's been a lot of learning today, that the different density of a slide will bring about a different sound, both tone. So we're looking at tone, sustain, and volume. But I think the other thing that I've picked up that we haven't necessarily said, but that I'm sort of reading between the lines is that there's still a demand for these things.
Yes, definitely.
And that demand tells me there's still people out there who want that really authentic blues
That's
sound.
what it is. Yeah. Again, it's specialist. It is what we make. Our slides are for these guitars and for acoustics. Again, going back to what we said earlier, electrics, it doesn't matter because you can put anything into getting the electric sound right. So
You can still
any-
use one of those on an electric guitar.
Oh, of course.
But
Yeah, of course.
it brings out the best
That's
of
right. Yeah.
a resonator on
Yeah.
an acoustic. Right.
If I got £1 for every time a customer would come in, bring in their resonator guitar
Right.
and handed me a Pyrex slide and said, have you got one of those in your glass?
Right.
And you sit in the cafe there, and the first time they hit that slide, you can see their jaw basically drop.
Wow.
And they say, what have I got here? And I just say to them, it's the slide you need for that type of guitar.
Wow. Nice. Nice. Yeah, it's really encouraging to hear that there's that level of demand for it, that you're still coming in 5 days a week. Is that what you're doing at the moment?
Yeah.
5 days a week?
Yes,
Maybe
I come in Monday to Thursday and
Right.
all day Saturday.
Nice. Nice. Well, Ian, this has been where can people get a slide from?
Right, well, they can order them direct from the website, diamondbottlenecks.com. Diamondbottlenecks.com. If you're in the north, around about Manchester, there's a shop called Rigby Music.
Right.
Rigby Music stock them. and you can get them direct from No Tom Guitars in Denmark Street, who takes literally
in London.
Denmark Street in London, Tin Pan Alley, No Tom
Really?
Guitars,
Right.
and he buys probably around about 30 a month off me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got an ongoing contract, whereas he will take 30 a month off me, no matter what it is, sizing.
And do you know that he's getting rid of those 30 every month?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
In fact, if I miss a month, he's on the phone and saying, I'm down to my last 3 or 4.
Okay, again, that's really encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
That amount of
Yeah.
people are coming in.
Yeah. Well, to me, he's my safety net.
Right.
I can keep going. He sells them, I can
Yeah.
keep going and keep making them.
Brilliant.
I can have a quiet month. I know that Ron Smith,
He's your man.
he's the
got
man,
them.
he will have them.
He's-
No
he's
problem
got
at all.
them. He's got them. He's got the need for them. That is really, really encouraging to hear. That really fills me with a lot of joy about the idea that there's a lot of people out there
Yeah.
who are saying, I want this authentic
Yeah.
sound, and that are playing guitar and that are doing it.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. Well, again, back to the Mark Knopfler thing. They did an interview with him in Guitarist magazine around about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It was a huge 5-page interview with him, and they asked him about slide guitar.
Right.
And he did say in the interview, he said, I actually stopped playing slide guitar. He said, because the slides that my guitar techs were giving me weren't doing it.
Right.
He said, the day I put a dome on Bottlenecks on my finger, I started playing slide guitar again. I've got that framed on my wall at home.
Yeah, there's an endorsement if you're ever.
That's framed, that's in a picture frame on my wall at home.
What a great place to leave it as well. Ian, thank you very much for your time
My pleasure.
today. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your working day on a Wednesday to speak with me. Thank you. Say goodbye to everyone.
Thank you, mate. Bye, everybody.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It was very insightful to go around Ian's workshop and to see him finishing off a slide. And all that information, I never knew about how the difference in a slide will make a difference in the tone, the sustain and the volume. Very informative. Ian, thank you very much for your time for that. Right, as always, jams that are coming up over the next week or 2 weeks or so. As always, please do your own research, because this is just information that I've gleaned off the internet. Maybe worth double checking that these are still happening. And if there's any additional ones that you want me to tell people about, or any that I've talked about that are not happening anymore, please do let me know so that I can add some to the list or take them off if I need to. So, as always, we'll start with the regular jams that happen every week. So we've got the Colin Staples Blues Jam at the Navigation Inn, Castle Lock, Nottingham. That's every Wednesday at 9 PM. We've got the Great British Blues Jam at the Temple of Arts and Music in London at 42 Newington Causeway. The postcode on that is SE16DR. That's every Saturday, 3:30 in the afternoon onwards. We've got the Blue Lamp in Aberdeen. That's 121 Gallowgate. The postcode on that is AB251BU. That's every Wednesday at 8 PM. Then we've got the 2 jams run by Damien in Bristol and Glastonbury. So we've got the Backdoor Blues Jam at the Orchard Inn, Hanover Place, Harbourside, Bristol, BS1 6XT. That's every Monday evening starting at 8:30 PM. And then the Backdoor Jam at the Queen of Cups, 10 to 12 North Lode Street, Glastonbury, BA6 9JJ every Sunday, 5 PM to 7 PM. Now, coming up on the last Thursday of each month, the Golden Lion in Bristol, the Pigsty Hill Blues Jam. So according to my calculations, this should be the 25th of July. That is starting at 9 PM, 9 till 11 PM. That's, as I say, that's the Golden Lion in Bristol. And then we have the Lewis Road Inn, 158 Lewis Road, Brighton, on the first Sunday of each month. This is 2 PM till 5 PM. So according to my calculations, this should be the 4th of August coming up. We got the Terraplanes Blues Jam on the Cruising Club Boat, Bristol, on the last Sunday of each month. So that's this coming Sunday, the 28th, That's a 2 p.m. start, 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. And we have the Red House Blues Jam in Stourbridge on the first Wednesday of each month at 9 p.m. That's in the Red House Inn, right in Stourbridge Town Centre. So that should be on the 7th of August. So yes, like I say, any changes to those, do let me know, because this is just information that I've gleaned so far. And if you've been enjoying the podcast, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Please make sure you subscribe and tell a friend so that they can enjoy it as well. Thank you, and I'll see you all next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.